The part of town that I grew up in was actually called a bad part of town. And this was simply code word for the fact that blacks lived across the wall. There were other black families down the street, and directly across from us was a large Catholic family. And at one time, there was even a whorehouse in the neighborhood. We had this second-story porch, and I loved to stand out there and sort of observe the neighborhood. And it wasn't really that bad of a part of town. I spent a lot of time on my bike riding around. There was a railroad siding nearby, and my brother and I would go out there and put little nails on the track, and the train would squish them and turn them into little scissors. So it wasn't particularly dangerous. But one Sunday, I was on the front porch, and I looked out and I saw the Catholic family all getting ready to go to church. And the daughter, about my age, was dressed as a bride. Now that was, I was so envious. I had spent so many hours as a young girl playing with my bride doll. My grandmother had made her clothes, and I would dress and undress her. And the thought that I could actually dress like that was just too overwhelming for me. Now you have to know, at that time, the landscape of dolls was quite different than it is now. There were no male dolls. I think Raggedy Andy was it. So when I was dressing my bride doll, I was going through this ritual behavior that had nothing to do with men. It was simply a ritual that a girl had. Anyway, seeing this girl dressed as a bride, I went inside to talk to my parents because I wanted to do that. Of course, they actually were goddess worshipers, and for them, Sunday was their best painting day, and they were not about to give that up. So there was no chance that I was going to become Catholic. There was another place that I became familiar with. A friend of mine named Marge would invite me to go to the country on weekends, and the country was actually a piece of land that our parents had bought. It was an abandoned plantation. The plantation house was gone, the slave houses were still there, an amazing circular driveway, these huge old oak trees, abandoned fields, a duck pond, a creek, a river, and Marge and I would hunt and fish. We did a lot of that. At one point, her dad, who had built the duck blind and the duck pond so he could go duck hunting, actually taught us how to shoot a gun. And one Saturday during duck season, Marge and I were in the duck blind, and I actually aimed and shot a duck. I did not become vegetarian that day, but I was very sad, and it was a lovely duck.